The film begins with a happy and bright girl named Yuna. She always smiles and loves to laugh. But Yuna is very brave because she is fighting a big sickness called leukemia. To help her get better, she has to go to the children's hospital and take special medicine called chemotherapy. Sometimes, the medicine makes Yuna feel tired and sad, and she doesn't want to take it. Yuna's dad wants to make her feel better. He has a special surprise for her, and it's a bottle of her favorite drink with a picture of Gang-Hee, her favorite star. Gang-Hee is a famous actress in Korea who acts in many TV shows and movies. Whenever Yuna sees the bottle with Gang-Hee's smiling face, she feels happy and strong again. Yuna loves Gang-Hee so much that she writes many letters to her. But Gang-Hee never writes back. Even though Gang-Hee has lots of fans who love her, she doesn't feel the same way about them. She thinks their love isn't real. Instead of enjoying the nice messages, Gang-Hee likes reading the not-so-nice comments online because they feel more honest to her. One day, Gang-Hee walks into her manager A-Young's office. A-Young looks worried and tells Gang-Hee that she isn't being kind to her fans. Gang-Hee doesn't seem to care about how her fans feel. She asks A-Young to find her a new role in a TV show. A-Young is unsure because Gang-Hee's reputation has been hurt, making it hard for her to get new jobs. But Yuna never gives up hope. With her dad's special drink and her bright smile, she shows everyone how strong and cheerful she can be, even when things are tough. Yuna's story reminds us that courage and happiness can shine through, no matter what challenges we face. Gangi was about to leave when a staff member rushed in, carrying a huge pile of gifts and fan letters for her. Feeling stressed, Gangi told them to return the gifts and put the letters away. But in all the chaos, 2 letters fell to the floor. No one noticed except for Sue, a sneaky reporter nearby. Sue quickly grabbed one of the fallen letters, planning to use it to cause trouble for Gang-Hee. At the hospital, Yuna was scared about starting chemotherapy. She didn't want to do it. Her dad, Jung-Seok, gently told her he would make one of her wishes come true if she agreed to the treatment. Yuna finally nodded, even though she was still nervous. During the treatment, tears rolled down her face, and her dad's heart broke as he watched her. Jung-Seok was a talented lawyer, but to pay for Yuna's medical bills, he worked at night as a driver. Even though he looked like a strong and kind dad, the weight of caring for his sick daughter was hard to carry alone. After her chemotherapy session, Yuna reminded her dad about his promise. She wanted a reply from Gang-Hee to a letter she had sent. Hearing this, Jung-Seok felt worried and unsure about what to do. He decided to ask for advice from his friend, Yoon-Do. Luckily, Jung-Seok and Gang-Hee used to be classmates, so maybe, just maybe, he had a chance to make Yuna's wish come true. The scene shifts to a warm and cozy cafe where Gang-Hee is eating with the director. The director talks very nicely to Gang-Hee, using kind words. But when Gang-Hee goes to the restroom, the director starts saying bad things about her. Gang-Hee hears everything, and it makes her really upset. When she comes back, they have a big argument. Angry, the director follows Gang-Hee to the lobby. But just then, a car sent by Gang-Hee's manager arrives to pick her up. Gang-Hee gets into the car and is surprised to see Jung-Seok as the driver. It's the first time they've seen each other in a long time. Inside the car, they laugh and talk about the past. But when Jung-Seok mentions his daughter, Gang-Hee's mood changes and she looks sad. Jung-Seok happily shares how much his daughter admires Gang-Hee, but Gang-Hee stays quiet. When they reach Gang-Hee's house, Jung-Seok wants to ask her to reply to his daughter's letter. But before he can say anything, Gang-Hee thanks him quickly and goes inside, leaving Jung-Seok feeling disappointed as he drives back home. In a flashback to high school, Gang-Hee was super popular, but she didn't like her fans following her all the time. Feeling annoyed, she skipped class and went to an old warehouse to relax by smoking. At the same time, Jung-Seok, the new student, also skipped class and went to the warehouse for a nap. That's when he accidentally saw Gang-Hee smoking. Gang-Hee got scared when Jung-Seok caught her. She didn't want anyone to know she was smoking because it could ruin her image. But Jung-Seok didn't know she was famous. He calmly gave her advice, which surprised Gang-Hee because he wasn't acting starstruck. He was the first person to treat her so normally. Suddenly, a teacher came to the warehouse because of the smell of smoke. Gang-Hee and Jung-Seok quickly hid, but Gang-Hee was very nervous. To help her, Jung-Seok took the blame for smoking and got punished. This was how their friendship started. Back in the present, Jung-Seok was at Yoon-Doo's convenience store when he saw a storybook called The Letter Doll. It gave him an idea. Since Gangi hadn't replied to Yuna's letter, Jung-Seok decided to write a reply himself, pretending it was from Gang-Hee. Soon after, Jung-Seok found a quiet spot and wrote the letter. When Yuna received it, she was thrilled. She showed it to everyone at the hospital and kept writing more letters. Even though it was hard for Jung-Seok to keep pretending, seeing Yuna so happy made him feel good. The following day, news about Gangi throwing away fan mail spreads everywhere. Yuna feels really sad when she hears this because she believes Gang-Hee would never ignore her fans. Her belief grows stronger because she keeps getting kind replies from Gang-Hee. Wanting to defend Gang-Hee, Yuna asks a friend with a YouTube channel for help. Together, they make a video showing all the replies Yuna received, proving Gang-Hee cares about her fans. The video becomes super popular, and people start to see Gang-Hee in a good light again. Many are touched by how much Gang-Hee seems to care, especially for a child like Yuna, who is bravely fighting leukemia. But instead of feeling happy, Gang-Hee feels upset. She doesn't want credit for something she didn't actually do. Late at night, she goes to the children's hospital to talk to Yuna's parents. To her surprise, she realizes that Yuna's dad is Jung-Seok. Soon after, they go to the hospital rooftop, where Jung-Seok bows deeply and begs Gang-Hee not to tell the truth. He explains that the letters may not mean much to her, but for Yuna, they're like a special kind of magic that gives her hope and strength. Just then, reporter Sue tries to take pictures of the scene, hoping to create a big story, but Yoon-Doo stops him in time. Back at her house, Gangi thinks deeply about what Jung-Seok said and feels conflicted. The next morning, Gang-Hee visits the children's hospital. She meets Yuna and the other kids there. Yuna is so happy to see Gang-Hee that she bursts into tears and hugs her tightly. Gang-Hee spends time reading stories to the kids and even donates 100 million won to help the hospital. The media covers everything, and people are amazed by her kindness. Before she leaves, Gang-Hee asks Yuna what her biggest wish is. Yuna smiles and says she wants to visit Gang-Hee's house. The next day, Yuna, Jung-Seok, and their friend Dong-gu visit Gang-Hee's house. Gang-Hee greets them warmly, even though it's the first time she's ever let anyone into her home. While the kids laugh and play, Gang-Hee talks to Jung-Seok about how hard things have been for her. At first, she feels annoyed, but as she watches the kids having fun, her heart softens. She feels happy knowing she's helping make their dreams come true. Later, Gang-Hee and Dong-gu record a fun video interview for Dong-gu's YouTube channel. After the recording, Gang-Hee tells Yuna how smart she is and says she must have gotten it from her mom. But this makes Yuna sad and confused. She remembers writing in her letter that she looks like her dad, not her mom. Dong-gu then tells Gang-Hee that Yuna's parents have been separated for a long time and that her mom lives in America. Hearing this makes Gang-Hee feel guilty for hurting Yuna's feelings. Meanwhile, reporter Sue is frustrated because he can't find anything bad to report about Gang-Hee. He asks a friend for help, and after digging for information, they discover that Gang-Hee and Jung-Seok were friends in high school. Sue comes up with a plan to use this against Gang-Hee. He writes an article claiming that Gang-Hee paid Jung-Seok, her old friend, to write fake letters to make her look good. In a flashback, we see that during high school, Gang-Hee had a friend named Hairi. Hairi had a crush on Jung-Seok, but she realized he liked Gang-Hee instead. This made Hairi jealous and angry with Gang-Hee. Now in the present, Hairi is an artist and radio announcer. When she sees the articles about Gang-Hee and Jung-Seok, old feelings of jealousy come rushing back, and she feels upset. After dinner, Jung-Seok made sure Yuna and Dong-gu were tucked in a bed. Then, Gang-Hee invited him to join her for a drink. As they talked, Jung-Seok shared a story about Yuna. He explained how Yuna felt sad about her mom not being around. Her grandmother had tried to comfort her, saying that her mom was just far away. Yuna calmed down and tried to accept it. Not long after, something very sad happened. Jung-Seok's grandmother passed away in an accident, which made him feel heartbroken. Seeing her dad so upset, Yuna gently reminded him that her grandmother was just in a faraway place, just like she had been told. Her wise and comforting words made Jung-Seok cry, and he hugged her tightly. Wanting to give Yuna the best life he could, Jung-Seok worked hard, taking on all kinds of jobs, even as a driver at night. In the present, Gang-Hee listened to his story and felt touched by how much Jung-Seok cared for Yuna. While they were chatting, Jung-Seok accidentally spilled soda on his clothes. Gang, worried he might catch a cold, insisted he change into something else. The funny part is Jung-Seok ended up wearing women's clothes because he couldn't find anything else. Gang-Hee thought it was hilarious and snapped a picture of him on her phone. Jung-Seok felt super embarrassed. As he tried to grab the phone from her, they both fell onto the sofa. For a moment, Gang-Hee closed her eyes and leaned forward, feeling like it was a romantic scene. But then she realized she was just imagining it. Later, Jung-Seok sat at the dining table, deleting the embarrassing photo. Gang-Hee was annoyed that he deleted her picture, but before she could say anything, Jung-Seok wished her goodnight and gently patted her head, leaving her both flustered and a little confused. The next morning, Gang-Hee hurried to shower and put on makeup, hoping to look effortlessly pretty for Jung-Seok. But when Jung-Seok noticed her makeup and joked that she must have slept with it on, Gang-Hee felt super embarrassed. After that, they had breakfast together. Later, they got ready to head back to the hospital, with Gang-Hee planning to go with them. Just as they were about to leave, Gang-Hee's manager called. He told her that rumors were spreading, saying she had paid Jung-Seok to lie. When they stepped outside, reporters surrounded the house, asking lots of tough questions. They accused Gang-Hee of making up the story about replying to the girl's letter and even questioned if she and Jung-Seok were really high school friends. Jung-Seok, knowing the law as a lawyer, spoke up firmly. He warned the reporters that spreading lies could have serious consequences, making them back off. Suddenly, Yuna stepped forward in front of everyone. She was upset and wanted answers. With tears in her eyes, she asked Gang-Hee if she really wrote back to her letters. Yuna needed to know if Gang-Hee cared, unlike her mom, who was never there for her. Gang-Hee hesitated, but finally admitted the truth that she never replied to Yuna's letters. Yuna was so shocked by the confession that she fainted right there, leaving everyone stunned. When Yuna fainted, Jung-Seok quickly carried her to the hospital. From behind the ICU glass, Gang-Hee watched, her heart heavy with sadness and guilt. Later, when Gang-Hee visited Yuna's room, she was surprised to see the walls covered with pictures of herself. Jung-Seok explained that these photos gave Yuna strength. Gang-Hee felt deeply moved. Afterward, they went to the hospital library. Feeling sorry for what happened, Gang-Hee whispered that she wished she had lied about writing back to Yuna. But Jung-Seok gently told her that the truth would have come out sooner or later. Then, he handed her a box filled with all the letters Yuna had written. As Gang-Hee took the box, a wave of fear struck her, and she dropped it. This reminded Jung-Seok of a story from their school days. Hairi had once told Gang-Hee about a strange gift left in her locker. Nervously, Gang-Hee opened one of the two boxes inside. To her shock, she found a dead bird and a scary note. This frightening memory explained why Gang-Hee refused fan gifts because she was afraid because of that terrible experience. Jung-Seok comforted her, saying not all fans were bad and encouraging her to believe in herself. Gang-Hee admitted that she preferred reading mean comments online because they felt more honest than fake compliments. On their way home, Jung-Seok asked Gang-Hee about the other box from her locker. She said she never opened it, which made him a little disappointed. But before they parted, Gang-Hee asked for Yuna's letterbox again, saying she was ready to try accepting it this time. The following day, rumors about fake fan mail keep spreading, and people begin avoiding Jung-Seok. Some even accuse him of using his daughter to get money from Gang-Hee. Despite all the mean comments, Jung-Seok stays strong and doesn't give up. Meanwhile, Yuna thinks about how hard it must be to be famous. She realizes that people always watch her every move and say bad things. She also admits that deep down, she knew Gang-Hee never replied to her letters. One day, while walking through the hospital, Jung-Seok sees Dong-gu recording a video for his YouTube channel. This gives Jung-Seok an idea. He decides to use Dong-gu's channel to tell the truth. In the video, Jung-Seok asks everyone to stop blaming Gang-Hee for the lie. He explains that the idea to pretend came from him because he wanted to make his daughter's dream come true. He thanks Gang-Hee for being part of the lie and for making Yuna happy. The video quickly becomes popular online, making Hairi even more jealous. Later, Gang-Hee meets Yuna, who gives her a set of scented candles. Afterward, Jung-Seok takes Gang-Hee to their old school to remember the past. While there, he jokingly tells her to keep reading negative comments on social media, which makes her laugh, even though he once told her to ignore them. At the school warehouse, they light the scented candles Yuna gave them. Jung-Seok surprises Gang-Hee by giving her an unopened gift box from their school days. It turns out the box has a special gift from him inside. Even though Gang-Hee had been scared of such boxes because of her past, Jung-Seok offers it to her as a sign of how much he has cared for her all these years. Upon knowing that, Gang-Hee feels really touched by Jung-Seok's kindness. As they talk about old memories, a security guard finds them. Laughing, they escape through a window and run through the garden fountain, feeling free and happy together. The next day, Gang-Hee was busy boxing when the head manager came to talk to her. The manager told her that her image was unstable and she wasn't getting any offers for dramas or movies. To keep her busy, the manager gave her 3 options. The first option was to join a variety show. The second was to read bedtime stories to kids at the hospital. The third option was to do a cameo in a movie. Gang-Hee decided to go with the third option. But to her surprise, the movie starred Hairi, who wasn't happy about Gang-Hee being part of it. During filming, Hairi kept asking for retakes, making the atmosphere on set very tense. After the shoot, Hairi accused Gang-Hee of agreeing to the cameo without even reading the script. She claimed Gang-Hee was using the media to make herself look better. Gang-Hee tried to explain that the director had asked her to do it, but Hairi didn't believe her and kept arguing. Unfortunately, things got worse when Hairi insulted both Gang-Hee and her mother. Hurt and angry, Gang-Hee finally snapped and spoke harshly to Hairi. In her frustration, Hairi shared secrets about Gang-Hee's past in high school with reporter Sue. This caused even more damage to Gang-Hee's reputation. Many products she endorsed were pulled from the market, upsetting Yoon-do, who saw the impact in his supermarket. At the hospital, Gang-Hee overheard some mothers gossiping about her as she walked toward Yuna's room. Feeling heartbroken, she ran away. Jung-Seok followed her and found her in the emergency staircase. He encouraged her to face the truth instead of running from it. But Gang-Hee blamed him for everything, saying it all started with his lie about the fan mail. Even though Gang-Hee was upset, Jung-Seok didn't leave her alone. He offered to help her through the tough times and invited her to stay at his house until things got better. The next day, Jung-Seok arrived with groceries, only to find Gang-Hee's temporary home a total mess. He couldn't help but feel frustrated and told her so. Meanwhile, Gang-Hee's head manager asked her assistant to schedule a meeting with Hairi, but Hairi claimed she was too sick and upset after her fight with Gang-Hee. The head manager found Hairi's excuse suspicious, especially since Hairi had been posting happy pictures on social media. Wanting answers, the manager visited Gang-Hee and Jung-Seok. She asked Jung-Seok why he was letting Gang-Hee stay at his place. Jung-Seok explained honestly that he just wanted to help her. His sincerity surprised the manager and made her feel a little embarrassed. Jung-Seok also told the manager that he and his daughter were staying at the hospital, so having Gang-Hee around wasn't a problem. Once the manager left, Gang-Hee invited Jung-Seok to a private dinner at the hospital. They shared a quiet and special meal together. At the same time, some mothers at the hospital were gossiping about Jung-Seok. They said he should be enjoying his life instead of taking care of his daughter alone. They even called Yuna a burden. Yuna overheard everything and felt heartbroken. Unable to handle the cruel words, she ran away. When Jung-Seok heard that Yuna was missing, he became very worried and started searching everywhere for her. Gang-Hee and Yoon-do joined him to help, but they couldn't find her. Finally, Jung-Seok went to the hospital rooftop, where he was shocked to see Yuna standing dangerously close to the edge. Scared and angry, he scolded her, telling her how dangerous it was to go up there alone. Then, Yuna looked at her dad and asked why she couldn't do what he had done before. She revealed that she had once seen Jung-Seok in a moment of deep sadness after his mother passed away. Remembering that painful time, Jung-Seok had promised himself to put Yuna's happiness first, no matter what. Since then, he worked hard at many jobs and even pretended to write fan mail, all to make her smile. Later, in the hospital corridor, Jung-Seok told Gang-Hee how happy he was to see her again. But then he realized that his feelings for Gang-Hee had made him lose focus on Yuna's needs. Deciding to prioritize his daughter, Jung-Seok asked Gang-Hee not to see him anymore. Heartbroken, Gang-Hee went back home, trying to accept the fact that she had to let go of someone she had loved so much. Determined to fix things, Gang-Hee made a brave video where she spoke openly about her mistakes. She showed her true self and apologized for not clearing things up sooner. Her old school friend, Yuna, also came forward to defend her, proving that the things Hyri said were not true. Because of this, Gang-Hee's reputation started to improve. Fans were angry at reporter Sue for spreading lies, and Hyri had to apologize publicly for making up stories. With her good name restored, Gang-Hee was even offered a leading role in a Hollywood movie. The opportunity meant she would have to live in America for a year, which she saw as a chance to move on from Jung-Seok. Meanwhile, Jung-Seok received sad news that his ex-wife had passed away. He and Yuna attended the funeral together. Even though Yuna was heartbroken, she stayed strong and said a final goodbye to her mother. After the funeral, Yuna asked her dad if she was the reason Gang-Hee didn't want to be with him. She wondered if she was a burden. Jung-Seok gently hugged her and said, "You're not a burden, Yuna. You're my happiness." Yuna then explained that when she went to the rooftop, she wasn't trying to do anything bad. She was actually praying for her dad and Gang-Hee to stay together. Hearing this, Jung-Seok realized he could follow his heart and still make Yuna happy. Without wasting time, Jung-Seok called Gang-Hee's manager to find out where she was. When he learned she was at the airport, he rushed there as fast as he could. But by the time he arrived, Gang-Hee's flight had already left. A year later, Gang-Hee had become a big star, acting in movies all over the world. One day, when she returned to her apartment, she was surprised to find it full of dolls. Each doll had a recording of Jung-Seok reading fan letters. He had read all the letters because he believed Gang-Hee might never open them herself. Gang-Hee was touched by how much effort Jung-Seok had put into the recordings, even when he was tired. In one of the recordings, Jung-Seok had even read a letter he wrote himself. He asked her not to let her past fears keep her from seeing how much her fans cared about her. Listening to his words, Gang-Hee realized she had been wrong. Feeling inspired, Gang-Hee sat down with pen and paper and began replying to her fans' letters one by one, thanking them with all her heart. When her fans started receiving her replies, they were overjoyed, and her actions quickly went viral. People admired her for opening her heart and connecting with her fans again. When Gang-Hee returned to Korea, she gave credit to someone who had supported her and helped her overcome her fears. During a TV interview, she spoke about how this person's kindness changed her life. Jung-Seok and Yuna smiled proudly, happy to see how far Gang-Hee had come. The film ends. The moral lesson from this film is never trust fan letters cause they might just be written by a stressed out lawyer trying to cheer up his kid. But hey, at least they can save your career and teach you how to be a decent human.